Coach, can I come in?
Williams could tie it with a three. He goes! The first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester. Inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown.
All right, Coach. Hey, I appreciate you.
To Scoreboard Therapy. I'm your host, Adam Schneider, and I'm with
Ernie Krause.
and we're going to be talking some Bears post-draft reviews, talking about some Dylan Thieneman, Logan Jones, and the other few draft picks that the Bears decided that they thought was best for the team. So, Ernie, I want to ask you this. How do you view the Bears draft this year overall?
I'd say overall I'm pretty satisfied. Of course, they did hit almost all of their needs. The only thing that they didn't hit was an edge rusher, but otherwise they got what they wanted. They wanted a safety, they got him. They wanted a center, they got him. Add another wide receiver, of course. Add another defensive back, add a linebacker. This was, there were some offensive pieces, but this was definitely a very defensive-heavy draft, which, frankly, was something that the Bears definitely needed, especially after, last year, where, usually in Bears seasons, it's the defense that carries the offense. Rarely is it ever the other way around, and last season was one of those rare exceptions.
Yeah, and for one of those exceptions, or maybe not an exception, but Dylan Thieneman is a very interesting story. First round pick, 25 overall to the Chicago Bears. I definitely think that his story is interesting, starting off his career at Purdue, where his play, as you said off the show, it didn't work. It didn't translate to what Purdue was looking for. And then he transfers to Oregon, where he becomes one of the best, if not the best, safety in all of college football. So with Dylan Thieneman getting drafted at 25, I think was a first-round steal because he was projected anywhere from, 19 to 23 around?
That's right. And, the one thing that really got me with Thieneman was the 40-yard dash. The fact that he was able to run it faster than a lot of wide receivers, frankly. But the one that stuck out to me the most, Justin Jefferson. And of course, the Bears play Justin Jefferson twice a year, so it's nice to have a defensive back that can more than keep up with a division rival star receiver, and then some.
Oh, yeah. And plus, with the secondary leaving Chicago, basically going to free agency, Kevin Byard going to the Patriots, Jaquan Brisker going to Pittsburgh. He went back home, so congratulations to Jaquan Brisker. But reloading that secondary was probably the most important thing the Bears needed to do. And again, kind of reiterating, Dylan Thieneman was one of the perfect fits, I think, for the Bear when he was still up on the board.
Absolutely. And like I said before, the offense definitely kept the Bears in the game rather than the defense. Now, the defense did, do enough. Of course, they led the league in takeaways, but of course, when you needed a stop, you just really clenched everything in your body, hoping that they didn't give up that late touchdown or field goal, which then would force Caleb to have to drive the team down the field and hit the game-winning field goal or touchdown.
Just like that fourth-yard pass he made to Cole Kmet in the playoffs.
Right.
But, we're gonna move on here, and the Bears in the second round with the number 57th overall pick, Logan Jones from Iowa, center. He won the award for the best center in the country, which I think was an interesting pick for the Bears to take, especially since Drew Dahlman retired and just kind of took the money after signing that contract. But as a replacement, I think Logan Jones is a solid guy. He can block two guys if needed to. He can pretty much just run over anyone. And also, as a mobile center, I think that'd be perfect for Caleb when the run game needs to be opened or if he's doing a quarterback run.
Absolutely. And, being a center, absolutely, it's a very tasking position to have on the field. And obviously, Drew Dahlman was feeling that. So the best course of action, obviously, inject some fresh, young blood into this so Jones can be your center for years to come. Maybe he stays with the team a decade before calling it quits. Frankly, anything is up in the air. But, of course, this was a big thing that the Bears had to address after a surprising retirement by Drew Dahlman.
Absolutely. And kind of we're going to move the train here a little bit. At number 69, the Bears drafted Sam Roush with which was a head scratcher of a pick.
Yeah, I'm still scratching my head at this now. The ESPN does bring up how good of a blocking tight end he is, but if you wanted a blocking tight end, then surely there's plenty of undrafted free agents that you can have to be your blocking tight end, whether it's on the line or even line up at the fullback position. This is a bit of a head scratcher, especially since Cole Kmet was still producing last year. And of course, Colston Loveland absolutely blew expectations last year as well.
Yes, and for a 3 tight end system doesn't normally work because you have your number 1 for the Bears, it would be Colston Loveland. For 2, Cole Kmet, and then Sam Roush. I just don't see the reason why.
Now, who knows? Ben Johnson, he is a very smart coach. Maybe he knows something that we don't know. Maybe we're going to see something that the league hasn't seen before, like the Dolphins with the Wildcat formation.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sam Roush is more of a blocking tight end. And what he would provide to the team was basically be a 6th O-lineman. I mean, big guy. He has smaller arms than what you would want to consider for a normal tight end. But at the end of the day, the Bears, I think this is an interesting pick, so to say, kind of controversial because could have been some other picks they could have had. Yeah. But if we're looking at this from the long haul, if you use him as a 6th O-line and you take out another player that should be in the game, I think this could actually benefit Caleb Williams if they're going to use a 6th O-lineman to help Caleb Williams have extra time. It could be essential. It could be a detriment. It really depends on how, like you said, how Ben Johnson views him and how he uses him in the system.
Absolutely. And, the Ben Johnson offensive scheme always does favor tight ends. Like, even when he was in Detroit, it was very much, tight end focus. So, obviously, he knows something that we don't. Although, of course, I'm still excited to see Roush for the Bears, and I can't wait to see him on the field.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't necessarily mean he will always be blocking. They could use him in a slot. They could use him in Kmet. Kmet could switch in and out, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So, kind of continuing to move on through this process, number 89, wide receiver Xavier Thomas from LSU. This was also another interesting pick because Ben, I just didn't see the plan here. It was a little, again, a head scratcher, but if you think about it, we do need a number 3 because
DJ Moore got traded.
Exactly. Thank you. And then Luther Burden would go from 3 to 2, and then your number
Rome is 1.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Rome Odunze moves up to 1. So then, that wide receiver slot for number 3 is wide open. So drafting Xavier Thomas, I understood why, but at the end of the day, I guess more defense would suffice for the Chicago Bears more than anything else.
Now, well, here's the other thing is that now that there's a full year of tape of Caleb Williams under this Ben Johnson system, now teams are going to be like, okay, we can prep and, do this, and this to stifle the Bears offense. So obviously they have to change things up. And I'm reading up on Xavier Thomas, and it brings up how he ran the 3rd fastest 40-yard dash at this combine, which definitely puts me in mind of Jamison Williams with the Lions. He's all about speed as well. So my thinking is that Ben Johnson is thinking that Thomas is that Jamison Williams type that the Bears could definitely use. All the while, after the DJ Moore trade, their wide receivers are getting a promotion. You got Odunze to wide receiver 1 and Burden to wide receiver 2.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this offense will help. I think it'll take off next year. It takes a minute for some players to understand the system. It takes time for them to really, especially Ben Johnson's, because Ben Johnson's system is very complicated, which a lot of people, a lot of fans say like, "Oh, Caleb should have had this memorized." Blah blah blah. Well, some systems take time, especially again with the plays we have seen, the way Ben Johnson has done things. So, a little side note, and I've said this on a lot of different shows, just because a prospect does well in college or in the combine does not mean they will do well in the NFL.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that should go without saying. That's like there's a reason that the term draft bust exists.
Oh, exactly. I mean, we've seen college players do amazing in college, and then they go to the NFL and they kind of poo-poo themselves. I mean, look at Vince Young just as an example. One with Texas.
Lucas Van Ness. That's
Amen.
what I got to say.
Now, going back onto the defensive side, Dylan Thieneman was drafted number 25 overall by the Chicago Bears, and then the Chicago Bears don't draft a defensive player until 124, which is the 4th round. Malik Muhammad. Now, I've heard that he was a draft steal. I think he was too. A little short for cornerback, but at the end of the day, I think he will do well. He's very speedy. He's a ball hawk, and he can do man-on-man coverage. So let me ask you this question, Ernie. What does Malik Muhammad, in your eyes, provide to the secondary for the Chicago Bears that maybe a lot of teams didn't see in him?
Well, aside from some young blood inside of him, I think that his discipline, and you especially saw this at Texas as well, is going to be an asset for the Bears right now and in the long run. Now, of course, Nahshon Wright was basically in his spot last year, and he was on a 1-year prove-it deal. Like, Nahshon Wright was a practice squad guy for the longest time, and this offseason he finally landed a nice hefty contract after an absolute breakout season last year. But the thing is, with Wright, even though he was a ball hawk, he could still get burned, whereas Muhammad is a ball hawk and with his speed should be able to still defend guys and not just leave it to Jalen Johnson to do that.
Well, we are running out of time here, and we got a couple more draft picks. We got a 5th round and a 6th round pick coming right up here on Scoreboard Therapy. Don't touch that dial, everyone.
We all have our journeys that we cannot shy away from. For bulls and their riders, these journeys started before they were even born.
Oh, you think this is a game? Nah, this right here, this is the NBA G League. The world's most game-recognized game league. The most groundbreaking league. Most get that weak stuff out league. The most graduated league. Welcome to the world's most G League.
NBAstore.com, the official online store of the NBA, and the world's largest selection of officially licensed NBA fan gear. With unique designs by Fanatics, Nike, and all the latest styles for every NBA team, plus one-of-a-kind products and authentic collectibles. Shop now and get today's special offer. NBAstore.com, a Fanatics experience.
Prepare to experience an adrenaline shot of raw excitement like never before. The Professional Bull Riders Teams Championship is coming to Las Vegas. The world's top bull riders are teaming up and going head-to-head for the ultimate title of champions. October 20th through 22nd at T-Mobile Arena. Get your tickets now at AXS.com. Be a part of history and witness one team walk away with it all.
All right, welcome back. I am your host for this segment. My name is Thomas with my co-host to my right.
Eric the Coach White.
The coach is with us, and the coach is going to be talking about 2026-7. Sorry, I've been seeing too many 2026-7 cams. Season outlook for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when it came to this draft in particular, I think the Bears had three key areas that they needed to focus on. First was the secondary crisis. Everybody knows this, that our secondary just kind of walked out the door.
Yep.
I always think that's all about money. You know, when it comes down to your worth or how good our defense was last year, you knew that they were going to be chasing our safeties and our secondary. I like the signing of Kobe Bryant. I think that's a very good signing for the Bears. How you feel about that one?
No, I think I like it. I'm gonna miss the amount of like big turnovers the Bears were able to have, interceptions, these forced fumbles, the ability to score on defense.
Yeah, the defense was
one
fun
of
to
the big
watch.
things we were able to like witness or as a Bears fan, and the Bears were able to again provide points on defense, allowing the offense to sometimes take a slower startup. Now with losing Byard and some of these key defenders, Brisker, who would get all these interceptions. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was another one, just again. And adding Kobe Bryant, who, again, is a lockdown defender and not only is, again, great at defense, will stop, like, the biggest thing with the Bears is they had they gave up a lot of yardage.
Yeah, they did.
And the big interception that would give us, like, a takeaway after they gave up, like, 100 yards is, like, it's great, but it's like, okay, can we like hold them? Sometimes you just want to hold them to a punt instead of always looking for that big play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of those picks go to Jalen Jones this year. Either him or Javonte Owens. They're both pretty quick. I know for a fact I seen Javonte Owens play a few games last year. He looked pretty good. I'm glad they went after a few veterans, you know, and added a little bit of experience instead of trying to exhaust the draft or trying to get offensive players. You would think I think traditionally, especially in drafts, they go after that high, yardage offensive player, but they focused on the defense, which is, I think, the best idea for the Bears. Speaking of that, the offensive line stability, when it comes down to what they did in the draft, to solid pass blocking, continuing to protect Caleb and where he can pick away offense. I mean, he can already move with his feet. We know that. But at the same time, every quarterback needs a little bit of protection in order to get some of those high-end passes off. So I think they did good with trying to gain him some protection this year.
No, I mean, I absolutely agree. I know that, like, most teams, we have watched Pat Mahomes at his best throw, again, have MVP seasons, and having Caleb Williams run around every single play, extending plays, it's great and it's fun to watch. But then that leads into him forcing passes he doesn't need to be forcing. Absolutely. And that's where the pass blocking matters, because keeping him in the pocket keeps him safe longer, keeps him healthy, and gives him more time to pass the ball to now Rome Odunze, who's the number one, get Luther Burden more touches now, and now this new guy, Xavier Thomas.
Yes, absolutely. And, it's one of those things where you always want to keep your quarterback safe. Just because he can use his feet, you end up making him do it way too much. I think that's the downfall of some of those quarterbacks who can run, but can also put their feet in the ground, and actually he's very accurate. So I would rather him, be sitting in the pocket. And like you said, as far as Xavier Thomas is concerned, big receiver guy. I think he had a lot of yards after catch in college in LSU. So that will help, because with the exit of some of Moore, let's just say the exit of Moore, what is going to be who's going to be Caleb's next target?
No, exactly. And the LSU, I think that's a steal where the Bears picked him up, because we've seen LSU receivers in the past, OBJ and all these other guys in the past who have had breakout. Most of them are yards after catch guys.
Yeah.
And Luther Burden, we've seen already, is a yards after catch guy. As soon as he catches the ball, you never know where he's going to run into, and next thing you know, he's breaking off for like 30 yards. And that's what we're going to see now at Xavier Thomas even more. Mm-hmm. And I think Rome Odunze will just be that, secure the catch, got a little 10-yard pass, secure. He should be the go-to guy now that the Bears definitely lost DJ Moore.
Yeah, and the best part about playing with Caleb is that he is looking. I mean, he will find you, even with his feet, or even if he can get a clean look over the top of his offensive line, he's going to look for you.
And one of the things I want to bring up is the run game. So we've had, again, we're bringing back DeAndre Swift, and
I like him.
That kid. Now, Kyle Monungai, so it was the other one, just to escape my mind. But we had one of the best run games in the NFL. Bears had one of the best run games in the NFL.
I agree.
And now looking into this next season, how do you see them comparing? Do they have another breakout? Is it just a consistent season, or what do you see this year too?
I think I see them start to, honestly, with the two-man punch that we have as far as our running backs are concerned, no matter what we need during the game, whether we need that short yardage, those strong yards running, those 2 or 3 to get those first downs, or those breakout runs from Monungai. Monungai. I know him, but he can break out. Once he gets into the second level, it's kind of over. He's hard to take down. So I'm confident. I'm glad that they did not leave. With offensive shifting so much in the offseason, with especially at the wide receiver position, I'm glad our backfield stayed exactly where it was. So.
And absolutely, what this year season outlook, and I'll say it now, is if the Bears can protect Caleb Williams, we are seeing an MVP season. And I believe everybody in the NFL is on watch to know that Caleb Williams is a sure runner for MVP this season.
But honestly, we know for a fact, Bears fans, every Bears fans knows that our staple is our defense. So our defense was so good last year. It made you excited to watch football. I've watched Bears football probably all my life, and the past couple of years have been slightly disappointing. But at the same time, when they are able to get the stops, like you talked about earlier, those takeaways that turn into points, or those times in games where we would be nervous, what is going to happen? Are they about to give up a touchdown? And they would literally a fumble or something would happen, and it would just change the mood of the game. So as far as the outlook on the next season, I always think that the defense is what is going to take us over the top, but our offense is it's good. Our offense is really good. They've consistently gotten better, and as a Bears fan, again, in the offseason, you always wonder, did they make the right decision? When you saw this big exodus of all the secondary this year, you got worried, but at the same time, the owners and the coaches of the Chicago Bears, they have done a great job. We've gotten better each year, so you got to have a little bit of trust too. So
Absolutely. And Ben Johnson, I trust.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too. I mean, I'm behind the guy. I like him. I like his attitude. I like his approach to the game. I even like how he loses. It is such a humbling thing, but also to see that not only do they lose with humility, they tend to rebound back and just play better the next game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they believe in him. So, hey, we got to too.
Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the other teams in the division.
Okay.
Now, again, the biggest rivals, and we beat them pretty much the past season, or Bears beat them pretty much this past season, but the Packers.
Oh, yeah.
Having a second, the Packers were banged up. I mean, defensively, offensively, they had injuries everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a little bit of a tougher season this year, Bears versus Packers. Not saying we didn't get better, but now having a second season of Micah Parsons and the rest of the Packers defense, they're definitely, I believe this year, Packers, Bears are going to be one of the, again, top two teams in the division. They're going to be probably playing each other in a playoff game to go to the NFC, to further in the NFC. Lions, I didn't see them get too much better. I think if anything, they fell off. I mean, obviously now they don't have their dynamic duo anymore of David Montgomery, Jamar Gibbs. So which is fine for Jamar because again, he's an amazing running back. But they didn't get better enough to like really worry me in this division. How about what do you see for this division?
I was upset at Detroit once they took our back. You know, once he went to
Montgomery.
Detroit, you know, but at the same time, like you say, the Packers, you know, as much as I want them to be bad each and every year, they just tend to come back, not even a little bit better, but at least at the head of the division. Mm-hmm. So there's always an issue for us, and just with the rivalry alone, those games are exciting to watch. The Vikings, who were pretty good last year, I'm looking to see what they do this year. I love that receiver that they have. He's probably the
Justin
best.
Jefferson.
Yeah, he's probably the best receiver in the league, hands down. I really like that guy. I mean, he shows up when he should. So Minnesota is always tough. I'm just not really worried about the Lions at all. Like you say, they don't tend to get much better. They tend to plateau a little bit, and you know, although they can win some big games, they tend to fall when they need to. So I'm not really worried about the Lions, but I see us finishing, you know, in that fight again in first and second towards the end, but making our way towards the Super Bowl this year. Mark my words, Super Bowl.
Super Bowl year for
Yes,
Coach
sir.
Eric. That's what you're
Yes,
gonna get
sir.
from him.
Super Bowl year.
And then Vikings. They're still trying to find an answer at QB. They have JJ. They now signed Kyler Murray now from Arizona. So that's going to be a team that they need to please Justin Jefferson, or he's going to be requesting to be gone.
He'll be gone.
And that's where, again, the Vikings, they don't know where they're going. They're kind of going to have a quarterback battle there. The Lions, they'll have a solid season, but the firepower that they once had 2 years ago is kind of just falling apart. And I think that's where how I feel about the North Division and what I see the Bears winning the draft. Again, didn't have the greatest draft, but had a great draft that's going to improve production for them this season, and then lead into, again, a quality 2026-2027.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think that we are on the right path. And again, I believe in our coaching staff in Chicago, or in the coaching staff in Chicago, and I think that they have the right formula. So.
Yeah. And again, we were speaking about some of the lows in the division, and the Vikings are definitely one of the lows. And next on Scoreboard Therapy, we're going to be talking about the losers of the draft. And one team I just mentioned are definitely going to be on that list. So thank you for tuning in on Scoreboard Therapy. I'm your host, Drew Thomas.
And Eric, the Coach White.
All right. We'll be back here in just a moment. Thank you.
We all have our journeys that we cannot shy away from. For bulls and their riders, these journeys started before they were even born.
Oh, you think this is a game? Nah, this right here, this is the NBA G League. The world's most game-recognized game league. The most groundbreaking league. Most get that weak stuff out league. The most graduated league. Welcome to the world's most G League.
NBAstore.com, the official online store of the NBA, and the world's largest selection of officially licensed NBA fan gear. With unique designs by Fanatics, Nike, and all the latest styles for every NBA team, plus one-of-a-kind products and authentic collectibles. Shop now and get today's special offer. NBAstore.com, a Fanatics experience.
Prepare to experience an adrenaline shot of raw excitement like never before. The Professional Bull Riders Teams Championship is coming to Las Vegas. The world's top bull riders are teaming up and going head-to-head for the ultimate title of champions. October 20th through 22nd at T-Mobile Arena. Get your tickets now at AXS.com. Be a part of history and witness one team walk away with it all.
And welcome back to a new segment here on Scoreboard Therapy. I'm Adam Shaner, and I'm here with my co-host,
Drew Thomas.
And we're going to be talking about losers, as explained in the last segment. But before we get to that, we got some breaking news.
Breaking news.
Diego Pavia just signed a 3-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens. So I don't think anyone really expected this for how short Diego is, about 5'9" and 5'8". But in today's day and age for quarterbacks, you want to be at least a little bit taller, just a little bit. And he just doesn't have the height to necessarily look over some of the O-linemen, some of those O-linemen are just like between 6'5", 6'8", just big, burly guys. So, Drew, I want to ask you this. What does the signing mean for the Baltimore Ravens, and does he bring experience to the backup position from college?
What Diego Pavia is getting out of this is basically just getting his feet wet. He's going to show up to training camp for the season. Is he going to get reps during the preseason? Yes. I mean, Lamar Jackson, biggest problem is tends to be hurt almost the past 2 seasons, half the season. And with seeing that, we've seen Tyler Huntley now having to play more than probably almost 4 games throughout the regular season. And again, with that being said, if Tyler Huntley kind of plays the same way as Lamar, which is why he's such a great backup for Lamar Jackson, because he's somebody who's mobile, mobile quarterback, runs, makes some good throws. So Tyler Huntley fits that team of what they need when Lamar's out. Now, again, because Tyler Huntley is also mobile, bring in Diego Pavia is great to finally have the third backup if needed. He's just going to be there to eat up some press at preseason, kind of just get some reps in. And then, I mean, I don't foresee him in obviously stealing a starting job anytime soon. But now it depends how much longer Lamar Jackson is going to stay with the Ravens, because they are in a desperate need to win now.
Now, we've talked about losers going into this segment, but transitioning into that, are the Ravens winners or losers for signing Diego Pavia?
It does not. Diego Pavia doesn't make them winners. The rest of their draft class made them. I believe in the draft. They had a decent enough draft to, again, provide support for Lamar Jackson to win. I mean, they are in win now. And what they did in the draft already is hopefully helping them this season. Diego Pavia isn't a part of that. He is not a part of that draft stock in my eyes. So the Ravens are winners. He won just because he got a 3-year contract.
I mean, money is money. So we're going to talk about some losers here, the 3 biggest teams that we think here on Scoreboard Therapy that are losers. The Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals have a lot of needs they need to fill. They've been kind of at the bottom of the NFL barrel for quite some time, but drafting Jeremiah Love at number 3, a running back out of Notre Dame, just a little questionable to me. You could have gone O-line, which they need O-line. They could have gone potentially wide receiver, get Carnell Tate, even though that would be stretching it a little bit. Or potentially a QB kind of further back in the draft. So, Drew, what does this make the Cardinals? Do you think they have something cooking up here, or are they just is the trash can gonna fall over through the wind?
I believe they just knew they had to take the best player available. And sometimes when you take the best player available, you end up being a loser. And with that being said, Jeremiah Love, again, great running back. I see him having a great future in the NFL. But taking him this early when we've seen time and time again running backs not having to be taken this early in the draft class is why they didn't fix the problems that they have. We've seen Connor, running back.
Connor James?
Yeah.
Or James Conner,
James Conner. We've
Conner.
seen James Conner have solid seasons, and even their backups be okay.
Yeah.
They did this to just sign the best possible guy they could, and is he going to be a 1-2 punch with James Conner? Maybe it's just for him to learn a year a little bit behind James Conner. But we've seen running backs hop onto the scene early and produce right away. They didn't need this role filled. If they don't have an offensive line, Jeremiah Love isn't going anywhere. We've seen that with Genty having a problems with the Raiders with them having no offensive line.
Absolutely, and that's a fantastic point you bring up. And I want to bring up the Cardinals' 3rd-round pick, Carson Beck. QB out of Miami. He took them to the almost promised land, but they weren't promised anything.
Yeah.
So, my question to you is, Drew, what does Carson Beck bring to the Arizona Cardinals? Is he more dynamic? Will he make throws? Or is he going to be just another QB that doesn't do well in Arizona?
I see Carson Beck as bringing in a little bit of competition. Again, he's played at Georgia. I mean, he was the QB at Georgia. He was just the QB at the U, and they again brought them all the way to a national championship. They didn't win, but hard nosed. Not many people like him. Not gonna say I'm very fond of him.
He looks like Sid the Sloth.
He does look like Sid the Sloth, but he'll bring the competitive nature of having to compete for a starting job. And that sometimes that alone pushes other QBs to step it up. And that's what I do see that he's going to bring for the Cardinals. Do I see him being the starter right away? No, but I do see him bringing a little bit of it makes the quarterback room questionable. It's kind of like what the Browns did with Shedeur Sanders. Kind of everybody was like, oh, when is he going to get to play? When are we going to see him play? So I feel like the same thing with Carson Beck. Now the quarterback room is going to be like, anytime there's not a great play or a few too many interceptions, it's like, oh, when are we going to see Carson Beck play? When are we going to see Carson Beck play? And that's what I see this kind of pick as. I mean, I feel like this isn't too bad for getting him in the 3rd round, but still didn't solve some of their needs that they need to be solving.
Absolutely. And sometimes with a quarterback coming out of college, sometimes you do need that swag. Sometimes you need that confidence to show, hey, I could have the potential to be a starter. But we'll see. It's too early to say. So at this point, I still have the Cardinals as losers. Moving on to the NFC North. No, it's not the Chicago Bears. We are talking about the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings had a extremely questionable pick at number 18, Caleb Banks. Now, we're talking about a big guy, played at Florida, could clog up the run game, and did a solid job doing it. But drafting him at 18, he does not strike me as someone who is a first-round pick. He's someone you can draft later at the very earliest, and even as a stretch, between 30 to 32, but mainly in the second round. What makes Caleb Banks to you a player that the Vikings saw to stretch and reach for at 18?
I feel like the Vikings are trying to get that purple people eaters that mantra back. And again, Caleb Banks, this big boy, and I'll tell you right now, I can tell you he's going to be a purple people eater for sure.
Or he's just going to eat.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much good food there is in Minnesota because I've been there a few times, and I don't know about that one. But with that being said, it was a little bit too high for me of a take, but again, he'll be a solid defensive lineman. It didn't really solve their quarterback situation at all. Hopefully they're looking to Kyler Murray. Their defense has been struggling at most, and again, same thing a little bit. They need blocking too because we've seen J.J. McCarthy get hurt almost every single time he steps on the field. And again, if you're not going to be blocking for somebody, why are you going to wait? Like again, waste your pick on somebody that's not going to protect your possible future quarterback.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a fantastic point you bring because they could just bring 9 back, right?
Yep, 9.
But moving on to Caleb Tiernan, we're going to go over this just real quickly because the O-line for Minnesota is kind of weak. They signed a few in free agency, but Caleb Tiernan does not solve all their problems. What do they need to do to solve the problems via draft, free agency, or trade? What do you think their best route is here?
They need to make some trades, and again, I see them. I said a little bit in their last segment is that they need to make some moves in order to, again, please one of the best wide receivers in the league as Justin Jefferson. He is fed up again with with JJ, and I mean they have Kyler Murray, they have JJ McCarthy. He's going to have a little battle out to see who's the quarterback. But if you're not feeding Justin Jefferson the ball, he will look 2 feet elsewhere, and that's what the Vikings don't want to lose now. If you're they need to figure out if they are in a full rebuild mode or a full we have a chance mode. Because if they are in a full rebuild, get everything you can for Justin Jefferson.
Absolutely. Now our final loser here, and with 5 picks in the draft, the Los Angeles Rams. And this one was one of the biggest question marks that I think a lot of people had on their minds. Mm-hmm. The Rams chose Ty Simpson from Alabama at number 13. This was, in my opinion, too far of a stretch. I think they could have gotten him a lot later. I think they even could have had him going in the second round or potentially late first round. So Ty Simpson is a quarterback. He can throw. He's not mobile, but he can run if needed. He's more of a pass threat than a run. He, as you can see here, he's had some good threats. He can throw down deep. He can run. He gave it to Josh Cuevas here. So
that's his Bama boy.
That is his Bama boy. So let me ask you this, Drew. What does the Rams plan going forward implement with Ty Simpson moving forward? Because Stafford doesn't have too much longer in the league. He's 38.
I see this pick again. Definitely in the losers bracket. Ty Simpson was taken way too early for that, but one thing I do believe in for the Rams is, again, Matthew Stafford just came off an MVP season, and again, I think he is still in his prime as a quarterback coming off MVP season. Sean McVay, still an amazing coach in the NFL.
Absolutely.
I believe somehow they know that Stafford must have told McVay or someone in ownership that I think they have a good enough relationship to be like, hey, we're going to take this quarterback. We need you to train him up. Hopefully the Green Bay Packers segment where it's like, hey, train this guy up for 1 to 2 years. He'll be taking your place. And I think that's what we're going to see with the Rams this season. But again, still lose to the draft, but good choice in him to kind of build up in the future.
Absolutely, and Rams have a good history of developing young players. But when we come back, we're going to make a full rotation to the top of the hour, and we'll be talking about our winners of the NFL draft. So don't go anywhere.
We all have our journeys that we cannot shy away from. For bulls and their riders, these journeys started before they were even born.
Oh, you think this is a game? Nah, this right here, this is the NBA G League. The world's most game-recognized game league. The most groundbreaking league. Most get that weak stuff out league. The most graduated league. Welcome to the world's most G League.
NBAstore.com, the official online store of the NBA, and the world's largest selection of officially licensed NBA fan gear. With unique designs by Fanatics, Nike, and all the latest styles for every NBA team, plus one-of-a-kind products and authentic collectibles. Shop now and get today's special offer. NBAstore.com, a Fanatics experience.
Prepare to experience an adrenaline shot of raw excitement like never before. The Professional Bull Riders Teams Championship is coming to Las Vegas. The world's top bull riders are teaming up and going head-to-head for the ultimate title of champions. October 20th through 22nd at T-Mobile Arena. Get your tickets now at AXS.com. Be a part of history and witness one team walk away with it all.
And welcome back to another segment of Scoreboard Therapy. My name is Adam Schneider, and I'm here with...
my name is Esteban Ortega.
And we're going to be talking about the winners of the NFL Draft. We're going to end this show on a high note because with winners comes losers, and with losers comes winners. So, we're going to be talking first about the New York Jets. The New York Jets had 3 first-round picks through trades with the Indianapolis Colts and the Dallas Cowboys. Quinnen Williams going over to the Dallas Cowboys and Sauce Gardner going over to the Indianapolis Colts for 2 first-round picks. So, with that being said, Esteban, what do these picks, especially with some of these highly named draft picks, mean for the New York Jets? And what do you think personally that this will mean for the Jets culture?
I mean, hopefully it's a sign of change, but I mean, we're also talking about the Jets, so I'm sorry to say,
you have no hope for them?
I want to believe, but dare I say I'm being brave in doing so.
No, absolutely. And I'll say this. For me, it would mean that the Jets taking David Bailey over Arvo Reese, kind of an iffy, kind of a questionable here, but I think they get a good edge rusher regardless. So that helps their defense a little bit. Then they go on the offense to help Garrett Wilson with Kenyon Sadiq and Omar Cooper Jr. And Omar, I think, is going to be a great wide receiver. He has the arms, he has the speed, he has the great footwork to make those catches. And with Kenyon Sadiq is a fast 40-yard dash timer. You want to know how fast he got? 4.3 for a tight end. 4.3 for a tight end. And for a tight end, it's an added bonus that they have speed, but to be able to block and be able to catch. Now, the only con with Sadiq here is that he sometimes gives up on plays, but at the end of the day, when you have a player of his caliber going full steam, being fully locked in, I mean, this guy is a monster. Unblockable. You can double coverage him. He still gets the catch. Touchdown.
You said 4.340. Are you sure he wasn't wearing like wheels under his shoes?
No, or else he would need a booster on the back. It's like a cartoonish thing.
I mean, it sounds like dang, 4.3 for a tight end.
And one of the coolest things, I think, in my opinion, is that D'Angelo Pons, one of the biggest key reasons why Indiana won the national title, also got drafted by the Jets. Getting Omar Cooper and D'Angelo Pons, one of the biggest offensive weapons and their defensive weapons. Straight up going to the Jets. I think building up that young core. I think being able to just reset the culture, reset the way that this team drafts is a testament to what the Jets could potentially be in the future. Now, are they going to win Super Bowl after Super Bowl? Probably not. They might still suck later on. But, Esteban, last question before we move on here to the next team. What do you give this Jets team overall for a draft grade?
Honestly, I would rate it a solid. I want to give him a B, but at the same time, you know what? Let's go with that. I'll give him a solid B.
Yeah, and the overall grade that I gave him was an A-, only because the amount of just offensive weapons they got. Getting David Bailey was the reason why they're at an A-. They could have gotten Arbel Reese, but they saw something in Bailey that maybe none of us here could see. So an A- for me. No one really gets a solid A+ in this draft, only because there's no perfect draft ever.
I was kind of debating on giving them an A- or a B because of the fact of getting D'Angelo Pons, like a player of that caliber at in the second round, like at pick 50, like that's quite that's quite a steal right there at that position or that late in the draft for a player of that caliber.
Absolutely. Moving on here, the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are my second winner here because not only did they draft O-line, they drafted a wide receiver that was very favorably looked at in KC Concepcion, as well as Spencer Fano, one of the two offensive tackles from Utah. And not just that, they had a very strong focus on just building up that youth, whether that was through the offense, and particularly the offense, but also Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. This draft, to me, for the Browns gets an automatic A, just because they started looking at this as, okay, not only is our defense one of the best in the league, but what can we do to just absolutely scare the living bejesus out of other teams? But let's go over the first pick. Spencer Fano at number 9. He is a big guy. He's a big guy that could stand firm like the Great Wall of China and could help provide offensive tackle depth as well as, obviously, a starting offensive tackle. Esteban, where do you see this for Shedeur Sanders' future with Spencer Fano?
I mean, hey, for like being an offensive tackle of that size, I would say Shedeur Sanders is in good hands. I can confident. I mean, unlike speaking of the Jets, I can confidently say about the Browns that I feel like they're headed in a better direction, at least better than the Jets. But
Oh yeah. And I want to kind of combine the two here. KC Concepcion in the first round at number 24 overall, and then Denzel Boston, who was projected on some mock drafts going in the first round, that got taken at number 39. You get two wide receivers that would help Jerry Jeudy or potentially move Jerry Jeudy from 1 to 2 with KC Concepcion coming in, and Boston being that number 3. So with that being said, this, I believe, could help make this offense more dynamic. I almost said aerodynamic, but more dynamic than anything that I've seen the Browns do in the last 10 years, especially since they've had that 0-16 season that long ago. I think they start to flip the switch here. You got a potential number 1 wide receiver And a number 3 that, again, could help Jerry Jeudy take that workload off.
Hey, Adam, so let me ask you this. You asked me about the offensive tackle, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you, like, just overall, between the offense, just overall, what the Cleveland Browns did on the offense, do you think it's enough to and I'm not saying playoff level, but do you think it's enough to elevate Shedeur Sanders' play, like, just that much more?
That's a really good question. 2 factors into this. 1, can he utilize the opportunities that the offensive line can give him, and that can he read the defense to where he can throw to an open wide receiver? 2, and I think this is one of the most important ones, can Todd Monken help him develop even further than what Kevin Stefanski could have potentially done? Now, I know that's a really big question there because he's a first-year head coach here in Cleveland, but will Todd Monken, I think more particularly, be able to help elevate this offense to a level it hasn't seen in years, maybe even decades, I should say. So, with that being said, Emmanuel McNeil Warren to end off the Browns here. I think that this was a phenomenal pick for the safety position. This helps with their secondary as well as just him being an absolute ball hawk at Toledo.
Oh my! Yeah,
he will go on man-on-man coverage. He will spy on the ball, gets interceptions, and is able to win you those very close games. So, Esteban, let me ask you this. What does McNeil Warren's presence mean to the Browns for that secondary?
Dare I say
no-fly zone? No-fly zone? Yeah, I could see that. So, with that being said, our final winners for this draft is the Miami Dolphins. Miami has seen its fair share of big players leaving, Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, as well as Jalen Waddle getting traded to Denver. But they reloaded completely in the draft. They had 10 picks, more than 10 picks, I should say. And they absolutely just reloaded, especially when you got Caden Proctor at the offensive tackle position, which I still believe is a stretch. Chris Johnson from San Diego State, who is also another ball hawk, which a lot of people might overlook. And one of my favorite picks of this draft, Jacob Rodriguez, going to Miami as well. So we'll start off with Caden Proctor here. What does it mean, Esteban, for Miami to just rebuild that offensive line for their next QB, potentially for the 2027 draft?
I mean, I think Miami is another one of those teams that's headed in the right direction. Like after that complete, like, basically, like from where the Hard Rock Stadium was a couple months ago to where, like, everybody was basically, like, leaving. Everyone was being shooed out of their offices, leaving Hard Rock Stadium dang near, like, empty. Yeah, I think they're building something rather. They're building something rather special. You know, they're headed in the right direction after that complete rebuild, and you know I like where Miami's going.
And before we head off here, Chris Johnson, Jacob Rodriguez, as well as Chris Bell, who was selected in the 3rd round at 94 overall. Fantastic wide receiver as well at Louisville. Actually, one of the biggest reasons why they pulled off the upset. And Jacob Rodriguez, just a man who's able to read defenses at Texas Tech, and was one of the biggest reasons why that Texas Tech defense did so dang well. And kind of bringing it back, Chris Johnson again, I mean, ball hawk. They're rebuilding the entire team from the secondary as well as to that offense altogether. Well, guys, that'll do it for us today on Scoreboard Therapy. Wait till Thursday, and we'll have some more surprises for you. Don't go anywhere.